So I'm a real estate broker, and I am a real estate investor as well. And I get asked all the time, well, how do I get started? I have money to invest. I want to enjoy the wealth building of real estate, the tax advantages. I don't really have that program. I do it myself, but I come across colleagues and friends, different niches that can help people go from 0 properties to one to get started into there. So one is a kind of a friend of a friend and from a network I'm involved with, Brandon Vukelich, who is in the state of Washington. I guess
Correct.
the greater Seattle, Northwest area.
Yeah,
Brandon,
Tacoma,
thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Bill. Love talking to other agents.
Now, I know you're up in I would call anything north of Oregon is the Seattle area to Californians. How do you describe your geography?
The Pacific Northwest, the Puget Sound region, really.
Nice.
I service the greater Seattle, Tacoma metro market area.
Very nice. And you're a real estate broker. How long have you been in business?
I've been licensed for 14, but I've been investing over 20. So,
wow. And so really what we talk about is, and I get this question to me all the time, is I want to get started. I have money. I have a job or a business. I have money to invest, or maybe I inherited some money and I want to get started in the process. There's so many books, there's so many YouTubes. Where do I get started? And I've done it, and I have property, and I continue to, but I don't have the resources to help somebody get started. So talk to me about somebody who is in that space. What are some of the steps that you can help them take to get started in their real estate investing program or career?
Right. So you and I both realize that a lot of these people, potential clients, are reaching out. I mean, they're doing the research before they reach out to a broker or agent like ourselves. So I know that they're digesting months and months of podcasts and YouTube videos like this, and it's making their head spins, and they're attending networking events. So my job is not to be a salesperson, but I come from more of a consultant or advisor, an expert in my area, right? And I try and pair people with properties that match their goals. So I'm not there to tell them right or wrong goals. I'll tell them if they're unrealistic, but they kind of come to me usually, Bill, and they're saying like, I want to get into multifamily. I want to get my first duplex. I want to get my first fourplex. Okay, great. How much do you have? And for me, it's not just jumping in and selling some right away. It's a three-prong approach. I have my introductory call, right? I'm trying to get them educated. And then we have our new client consultation, and I get them in kind of the planning stages, make sure they get pre-approved, we get their funds lined up. And then the third stage is actually the investing, and that can take on average 3 to 6 months down the road after my initial conversation with them. It's a long process.
How many properties will an investor typically look at for their first transaction before they actually buy one, in your experience?
Well, it's all over the wide spectrum. I have people that are tire kickers, right, and get analysis paralysis, and we'll look at 50 deals before they finally even just write an offer. I mean, I try to get them just pull the trigger and write an offer. Nobody's going to force you to buy that property just because you write the offer. Then I have people who are hang up the phone, call me next day, my funds are lined up, let's get shopping, and we close something in less than a month. So, and maybe we look at less than 10 deals. So it is quite a wide spectrum in terms of it definitely depends on the personality type.
And are you looking at properties first and then vetting them to give to the client, or are you teaching the client how to do that on their own?
So I know people love Zillow, Redfin, all those other third-party apps, right? They're on there looking at every day. So they're finding stuff on their own. I do set up a search for them. I put them up on my board with all my other clients, and I got the notes of what their budget is, their area they're looking for, right? So if I get an off-market deal or something as well, I go, okay, that matches Chris. He's looking for Tacoma at under 800,000.
Right.
So I am sending them deals. I'm pre-vetting them based on what I think. I also don't like to send people garbage just to send people garbage, right? And again, some of my clients have criteria that I would not expect. I would want more than what they want, and some expect more than what I would want. So I try and find that thing in that gauge of, does this match some of these clients that I can send them to? And then if they send me something, I'll analyze it for them if we're working together, right? And give them my 2 cents, and then we try to make an attack on how to get that thing under contract. I try to tell everybody the speed and pressure to win. That's all we want. We want the right to buy it before anybody else, right? That's the goal. You don't have to close it. We just want the right to buy it before anybody else. And the people that get analysis process, they're going to be waiting for that perfect unicorn deal forever and never buy anything.
Well, you say that. So let's go back to the beginning of the process then. So you submit a property to them, or they find one they like on their own, and they talk through with you. And then it comes time to actually write the contract out. When I was a newer agent, I worked more with buyers. We used to do a buyer consult in my office before COVID, and I had the buyers come in. And one of the things I learned to do was print out all the documents you'd have to sign to buy a property. There's a representation form, there's a purchase offer form, there's a couple other required forms to write an offer. And I used to go through that with the customer and say, okay, let's just for practice. I put a big X through the property. Let's just practice initialing and signing. In California, it was about 15 pages in those days. I'm sure it's more now. And you know what was interesting? About half the customers couldn't even do it as a practice.
I believe
fascinating.
it. I believe it, Bill. Yep.
So on one hand, now with the e-signing, it's easier than ever. They can click and click and click 50 pages and not know what they're signing and be scared to do that rightfully because they're not reading the papers. And the flip side, they can be over. So how do you help coach people through that process of, I am writing a contract, it is serious, yet it's not tying my firstborn child to anybody else in a nefarious way?
Yep. So in part of my consultation that I do, that's totally free, by the way, I tell them there's no strings. It's totally free. We do that. I'm kind of vetting them as clients as well. And if I'm not the right broker to work with after that, no hard feelings, right? But usually they want to, after that, they do want to work together. In that consultation, I talk about writing offers and how we analyze deals. And the homework I give them is to get their funds lined up, get pre-approved. Then there's a follow-up sample offer Zoom that I do. And I go over it. This is what currently, how we're writing offers, because the market constantly changes. Sometimes we have to use some different addenda here and there, like escalation clauses or something, and those kind of gone away and maybe they come back. So I'm doing one current to what we're writing today, and I go through page by page. I tell them I'm not an attorney. I didn't draft these documents, right? But this is what we typically go through, all the fill in the blanks that you're going to be seeing when we write an actual offer. And that way, when we got to scramble and get one going, fired off right away, they already know ahead of time basically what that paperwork is going to look like.
So as a listing agent, I get offers from ill-prepared buyers all the time who went to some seminar and they send me an offer and it's almost like a template. I kind of recognize it right away. And with this group, and we buy 10 million properties, I've never heard of them before. That's probably impossible. And the lender is some national platform that, caters to those kind of people. It's not a normal purchase agreement. The whole thing is kind of Mickey Mouse. And, normally I just email back. I'm obligated in California to reply. If it's a legitimate offer, I have to send to my customer and give them stats. If it's not legitimate, I have to document why it's not legitimate. And they'll say to me, well, I went to the seminar, and occasionally they'll get through to me on the phone and say, I went to the seminar, I paid $5,000. And the guy said that this is how offers are supposed to be. And I said to him, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, so obviously you're an agent in the business, so you know what you get. At the same time, you should know, based on results, you do know what other listing agents are looking for in their offers, right? That's the key to me, is you're a practitioner, not just some guru.
Exactly. And that's what I love about my business, is half of it is working with sellers and half is actually working with buyers and investors like that. So I tell people I love them to learn the mindset of both, right? And that way I feel like I have leverage, because I already know what the sellers are thinking if I'm representing buyers. And if I'm representing sellers, I already know the emotions the buyers are going through, what they're trying to get from my seller. So I love that part of the business. And yeah, I don't actually get, like you, I don't get a lot of unrepresented buyers making offers. They usually come in with an agent, and I haven't seen anything too unreasonable or crazy in a long time. I don't get wholesalers, trying to type up my listings at ridiculous prices or things like that. I'm in
Los Angeles, so that's kind of. There's a guy, I won't say his name. There's a guy who every listing I get this offer. I think it's like 60 cents of whatever listed for. It's the same format, the same deal. I get the same automated text responses. Hey, I sent you an offer. You can represent me. You can represent me, sell it. But basically, if you cheat your customer, I'll give you some of the proceeds every time. And he calls me and said, why don't you return my phone calls? And I said, because the whole thing's just a waste of time. So yeah, no, we get, LA is totally different than most of the markets, I think.
I'm sure.
Okay. And so I think that's the key to me. What attracts me, what I would feel comfortable recommending to you, people to you, is you're a practitioner. I think even though I said to you, I don't work with buyers, I do work with sophisticated probate investors on my listings, right? Because they fit the profile that I work with. I think working with those buyers, I just bought one this week to be precise, makes me better at the listing side because I see both sides of the picture. I think that's really important. So I noticed on your website, which is multifamilymomentum.com, you have 2 to 4 units, 5 units plus. Talk about multifamily. Where is that in the market these days in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, it's still actually pretty active. We see a lot, the house hacking term you've heard about, people that don't want to go rush out and buy a house. they want to go and buy their first investment property, which I think is brilliant. I try and coach all young people. If they don't have a huge family with kids and dogs and all that stuff, if you just looking for a place, buy a duplex, buy a triplex, buy what you can. You can buy up to 4 units residential financing and live in one of those units. And you can go buy that big house later after you've started acquiring some investment properties. And so we see the duplexes are really, really active. And for us non-owner occupied investors like me or you who buy properties not to live in, but to rent them out, we can't compete sometimes because those house hackers, they're looking at, do I piss away $3,000 a month in rent? Or do I buy this duplex and it cost me $3,100, but at least I own it and somebody's subsidizing my mortgage and I've got my first investment property. So really the investor space is 4 units and above is what I really see. True investors.
Yeah, the duplex is somebody who values their unit like it's a house, and then they're getting some rental income like it's an add-on, and probably overpays a bit for that in terms of investors' perspective.
Right.
But if it works for them, and there are plenty of people who've done that, who 30 years later look like geniuses because the mortgage is paid off, they're living there for free, they're getting income on the other unit, or they move out and they get 2 pieces of income. So, I mean, I don't think you could overpay if you can afford it, and that's the lifestyle you want.
Yeah, I know a broker in one of my previous offices. He bought a fourplex using his VA, and he lived in one of those units with his brother or something. And I mean, they were living almost breaking even rent free, because the other 3 units were paying it. So even with the 0 down, it was a good deal.
So I'm sure you get this question a lot. That interest rates have been in the news a lot. It just seems that while rates haven't moved that much, and I don't think the real estate market has been all that volatile for the news that's been out there, I feel the tension in customers on where the future's going. Where when somebody says to you, where's the real estate market going to be 6 months, a year from now? What's the effect of the election going to be on on the future of the real estate market? How do you talk to them about what they should think about going forward?
Well, first thing I tell them is my crystal ball is broken. It's in the shop being fixed. So
mine's right there, actually. If you want to see, it's on that. You can't.
Yeah,
there's my crystal ball right there. It doesn't work though.
Everybody thinks we have one, right, as agents, for sure.
I have one. No, I do have one. It just doesn't work.
And so, I just remind people, look, every market's different. Like LA is different from Seattle. Seattle's very different from Tulsa. I watch Tulsa and Colorado Springs and Kansas City and these other markets just for my own interest. But those are cash flow markets from day one. We're not really a cash flow market from day one, particularly. It's a challenging market because, like you said, we thought when rates doubled, prices would kind of reconcile with that and adjust a lot more than they have, but they haven't. Supply is still low. Demand is still high. People invest in our area, and we're a tenant-friendly state. And Seattle and Tacoma are terrible for landlords, but that doesn't mean nobody's investing there. I tell you, millionaires and billionaires continue to invest there. Strong jobs, strong rent growth, strong appreciation, right? And you play the long game. That's what you got to do in our area.
Yeah, same as LA. I think your market is more tenant friendly than ours, as hard as it is to believe. From the laws passed recently in your state and your county, and you're right. Our game is about long term appreciation. It's really not a cash flow. It's a place to put money that you're going to. But housing prices went up here in LA the last 12 months, 8%, and so. Yeah, there's stocks that do that, but this is when it 8%. You don't pay any taxes until you sell it. You can defer it. There's so many advantages to real estate here. I don't invest. I say that. That's not true. I'm actually in contract on a deal now, but I don't hold long-term Los Angeles just because I'm here and I don't want to be too consolidated. It scares me a bit, but Seattle is a challenge. So I know I saw you did a video on dealing with tenants in Seattle. So I know that must scare a lot of investors. What's your best advice and how do you help them through that process?
Well, I used to own a property management business. I don't do property management anymore, but I still watch all the laws and stuff that follow for my own interest, for my clients' interest. And I tell them it's all about managing the risk, right? If you're gonna rent to very, very low income in the tougher parts of the city, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have squatting. It's gonna take over a year to evict them. But if you're renting a condo at South Lake Union to software engineers at Amazon at $3,500 a month, there's not a lot of risk there, honestly. I mean, so yeah, you're in Seattle, but it's just about managing the risk.
You say that you use the term managing the risk, and in LA, the biggest, most successful landlords, even in low-income areas, I saw him do a presentation one time, and I felt like I was watching the New England Patriots or the New York Yankees of renting properties, in that they had systems for everything. Vetting and screening and follow-up and staying in touch with tenants and renewal process. And so there's a solution if you're going to play in that game, you need to sharpen your pencil and be smart and execute at a high level. It's not a game for amateurs.
No,
For the most part.
you need deeper pockets. I know a poor couple right now that they bought their first rental, and it's a duplex, and they had one squatter for a year and just drained them. It absolutely drained them financially to keep that property. And the little mom and pops are the ones that are suffering. The politicians here just don't get it. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, and if you had 10 properties, and 1 or 2 are down, the other 8 are appreciating, those numbers work out. If you have 1, it destroys people, and it's sad to watch. Anybody who says they want to buy one rental, I see you have to watch Pacific Heights, the movie from it was like the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
It was I just rewatched it. It is scary, but it's a good reminder that again, if you have 10 properties and 1 goes down the tubes, the other 9 are going to bail you out. You're still going to do real well, but if you only have 1, your life savings tied up into it. It's just going to destroy your life, I think, unfortunately. So, well, that said, on the positive side, I have customers, you have customers. I've done real well with my real estate. What do you see going forward? Here we are in 2024, halfway through the year. What do you see as the opportunities for you, and what is it that excites you about opportunities going forward?
Well, the opportunities are that you're still, at least in my market, we're not dealing with crazy multiple offers. Like 2020, 2021, early 2022, I mean, it was just bonkers. Waiving inspections, guaranteeing appraisals, over asking, 12 to 20 offers. All that went away except rates went up, and then everyone just panicked. And I'm like, well, now you get to do inspections again, and you get to kick the tires a little bit. And you don't have to go multiple offer situations. So this is the time, I think, and rates are going to tick down. At least it sounds like they're going to start ticking down. And you know what happened, Bill, when it gets mid 5s or low 5s again, it's just going to get crazy competitive again. So I tell people, even if you're at 7% now and you lock that in, if you're buying 4 units or less, that's the worst case rate you're paying for the next 30 years. And that's very unlikely you're not going to refi in the next 30 years, even if you have a property that long. Right. So I'm telling people, this is kind of still the opportunity to get in because prices are not tanking and they still keep going up. And you see that gap between renting and owning for people, more and more renters. And we have a massive housing shortage. Your area, my area, the country, but Washington is terrible. We have so much red tape. We need 1 million+ houses or something like that. So anyway, it looks good to be a multifamily owner if you can just navigate the risk a little bit, pick good properties in better areas, good demographics.
Well, as long as the property makes sense when you buy it. I think the mistake people make is they buy property that doesn't make sense, thinking something's going to change. And if that doesn't happen, they're caught short. But if the property cash flows while you have it, and that might mean a large down payment to make a cash flow.
Exactly.
Like you say, that's the worst financing the rest of your life, because the rest of your life, rents are probably going to go up year over year. In Seattle, LA, they're not building much more housing. The little bit that is being built is all government housing. There's very little private party housing being built in Los Angeles. So your rents are likely to only continue to go up. Your mortgage rate can only stay the same if it's fixed or go down if you get the chance to refinance. Maybe that's a home run. Yeah. And so as long as you buy right, you know what you're doing, whether it be in Los Angeles here or in Pacific Northwest with Brandon, real estate's a great opportunity. Brandon, I really appreciate the time to chat with you today. I have your website, multifamilymomentum.com. And on the website, you have a phone number. Is that the best number to give out?
Absolutely. I give out a free deal analysis thing. I'm happy to connect with people and give them some information about the market in our area. And it's called Multifamily Momentum, Bill, because every investor, I've never known one investor to buy one property and say they're done, right? We all want to create momentum after that first one. It's like, where's deal number 2? Let's go. So
you want the cash on the deal one to accumulate and to buy a second deal. No, that's everybody wants to do that for sure. So the phone number 206-250-6961, and his email is Brandon at BV as in Baker Victor -RE for realestate.com. BV-RE.com. I'll put that in the description down below. Brandon, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
And we'll talk soon.